with the mediumship and versus psychic, a lot of the things where um, I kind of know when people kind of know the difference is when they do that whole, well, why can't you tell me the lottery numbers? You know what I mean? And then like, or if you tell them you're a medium and they're like, is there anyone around me? Do you see anyone around me?
Oh, yeah.
You know, like those little things. Cause then I kind of get like, okay, you got it a little bit, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but there's a definite difference.
Or the
It's
people that,
very,
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, or when you meet somebody for the first time and they think that you're reading their mind, like we have all that time to do it. Or, like
Yeah,
they don't
no,
realize that you have to get into a space and, and maybe even want to connect with them. But it's, there is a rule of thumb. You don't just connect with somebody. It's
Right.
we all follow that, that rule.
We
So.
do, but sometimes as as empaths and intuitives, what happens is some people are just like seeping. It's like their energy is just pouring out from them,
Yes.
and I always thought that's what made me such a good teacher in that way, is that being able to pick up that energy. And so it's the, are you reading them, or are they just giving you the information? Because sometimes it's just, yeah, you can't
or
help. It's like,
like Stan was saying, like like it's rude to just hop in on someone's thoughts or like, read them. Sometimes though things just are right there and I'm like, oh, when I haven't even been, I haven't tried or whatever. And I think that's just a part of being very sensitive,
Very
you
sensitive,
know?
very open. It happens.
Yeah.
yeah.
And then, but the other thing is like, you don't really, as far as reading someone psychically, like I equal it to like going up to someone's house and, you know,
Please.
like it's rude. You don't do that
Yeah.
unless you ask. That's how I think about it.
Yes.
I don't want to know. I can't keep secrets. So, I really don't want to know what's in your head.
Right.
Because, do you ever read someone like, okay, so you're at work, I'm at work, and I say to something to someone, and it's like, hey, how was your time with your dad this weekend? Did I tell you that? And they go,
Yeah. And you're like,
how did I know that?
I feel like you did.
But that's the fun part, I mean, it's not reading somebody's mind. It's just reading their energy, It's
Right.
reading, it's understanding what's going on around them and their joy. I mean, to continue on with your example, you go on and you the person might just look excited, like and you just knew that they saw their dad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love that. I call
I
that spidey sense. Yeah, right. Where you go,
so do I. That's exactly. I'm like, ooh, and my
yeah,
husband
right.
will be like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, I don't like my spidey senses. I don't know about that. You know?
I did
My
that
favorite is
recently.
though.
I go, did you have a birthday recently? And then they'll go, yeah, I did. How'd you know? And they'll, oh, I saw that on Facebook. Yeah, yeah. Because you know what, Lori, I do the same thing though, because you don't want to freak people out. Right. I mean, the goal of this is not to freak people out, obviously, right? But yeah, I do that same sort of thing.
Yeah.
So,
No, I totally agree with that. Do you
I
guys have?
don't really. I gotta be honest though. If I'm being unfiltered here, I don't care to do psychic work. I like doing.
That was my question. You read my mind.
Oh, see, I read
What
your
do you like
mind.
See,
psychic work?
that I was just gonna say she's doing it right now. So.
Yeah. Liar. Liar. No.
I just don't care to do the psychic work. I mean, a lot of times when I'm in a reading, like, let's just say, like, Uncle Joe will come through, and Uncle Joe will be like, tell her she needs to stop worrying about, her boyfriend cheating on her, blah, blah, whatever, And so I'll say stuff like that. And then sometimes it kind of turns into psychic a little bit. But I'm just not a fan of doing the psychic stuff. Like, my favorite is when they say, okay, so when am I going to meet, the love of my life? And
Uh-oh,
I'll be like,
Lori.
I don't know. Open yourself up. Get out more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. Except here's where they blend, and especially because I'm a shamanic medium, and it's the energy I'm really picking up on. And what happens is like, so they often come in with a question that's more than just, I want to talk to Uncle Fred. There's and for those of you who are looking for a medium and looking for work, it's nice to have that deeper question. Sometimes it's a soul question or something like that. So what comes in is I end up reading the whole package, and it's done in such a way the information is coming in from all sorts of avenues. Yeah, I've got Uncle Fred and Aunt Sally and an ancestor from 3 generations back, and then I've got a tree and and a squirrel and or whatever, and they're all coming, and then suddenly I see that you have 3 daughters. And what I see is your soul is deeply troubled by this one daughter, and that this is holding you back because you're afraid to go after in my heart is like, now I'm feeling sad, like this is real. So this must be real for someone. And you're just being weighed down. You won't work on your life because you're afraid to let your daughter go through her stuff, and you want to protect her. So now it becomes something much more,
Right.
and suddenly we're at the and then suddenly you're at the soul. You're in this lifetime, you've always been a caretaker, who are you, and suddenly it's all unraveling, and then now you've got another grandmother coming. Yeah, you tell her not to live my life. All I did was take care of other people.
Yeah.
And by the way, where's my cookbook?
And at that point, it like say, Lori, it definitely overdevelops just mediumship. I mean, at that point, you're more of a vessel. You're a channel for spirit.
Yeah.
You're
Yes,
connecting with their
exactly.
higher self, and you're truly giving them what they need. I mean, they know what Grandma Joe looked like, and if she was a smoker, and that's not important anymore.
Right.
It's the soul's purpose. It's
Yeah.
you're healing past wounds. You're going into past lives and bringing stuff up, and those are the ones I love doing. I mean, those are the ones.
Absolutely.
Those are people I like attracting, because those ones you walk away from and it's like, damn, you made a difference right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Shift.
oh,
You feel their
Nothing better
energy
than
just expand after that.
absolutely. So we do have a question from YouTube, and this is Aussie C. She says, she says, is that because of free will? How should you maybe I'm not seeing the full chat, something, let me see. How should you rephrase the question so that the question is not fate-based? Interesting.
Oh, when you're talking about a relationship.
Yeah.
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 Well,
Because I think I like that question, because I think a lot of the times you find people that'll come to you and ask, should I?
Right.
That I always direct them to the same thing, that's akin to walking up to a person and just asking them, hey, should I go left or right? Where do you want to go? What is it that you're wanting?
that's
You
really
know?
that's great.
And like, I think once you have that, it becomes kind of a lot clearer and easier to know what it is that needs to come through for them.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to say was that it's like, I was going to say, because like with psychic stuff, right? Because that begs the question, like, what is a psychic reading? Because, like, for example, for me, like, as my gifts developed, I realized I'd always been doing psychic readings, like, technically, like, I've always been a messenger. But it's like, what's the distinction between receiving information and receiving information from someone else? Like, in other words, if you're doing a quote unquote psychic reading, there are times where, like, I think to me, just my personal view is that if I'm doing a psychic reading for somebody, I'm receiving information. I'm just not focusing on who the information is coming from.
Right.
And then with mediumship, I'm tuning into the source of the information, giving evidence about whoever it is that's giving or whatever it is that's giving the information. You know, so I feel like we probably can't even really help but do psychic work. I think it's kind of just inherent in what we do.
That's kind of my feeling too. Like, I can't help myself. Like, it's just there. And I think because we all have intuition, and we all, like, not just us, like everyone on the planet, all humans have intuition. So we do this every day.
Right.
It's not like, oh, I'm a medium, or a psychic, so now I'm the only one that is privy to these things. Like, we all feel things. It's just natural.
Yeah.
And
And
the more
it's
you,
all connected with spirit, no matter what you call it. It's the human side that wants to label everything. But
Right.
like you say, Maurice, spirit is spirit. Messages are messages, no matter where it comes from. If it's from your intuition, your higher self, your great grandma, your angels, your guides, you're just relaying the messages that the people are supposed to hear. You become a channel,
Right.
and that's why when someone asks you, "What are you?" It's like a channel.
Yeah.
Really? I mean, that's
Hard
my
to say.
like that fits. That seems to fit more like better than psychic, medium,
Right.
shamanic work. I mean, because it's all really the same.
Well,
Yeah, it's like a
Absolutely.
couple of minutes different, it seems.
Yeah.
Pete,
Because
I
I
can hear
remember this
you.
guy, because Mel was talking, remember
Pete
she was
and
talking
Stephanie, I can
a
hear
few
Uh-oh.
you.
minutes ago, maybe, right? And this guy
Can
was
we
going,
mute
Oh,
that?
oh, yay, you muted it.
That's my husband, everyone.
Oh,
Welcome. So what I was going
love
to
it.
say is that to go back to the question,
Yeah.
in my opinion, when you have a question about like, am I going to have this person come into my life? Am I going to have, you know, like Maurice was saying, the should I or shouldn't I? For myself, I usually just, I tell people I can see things that could happen.
Right.
Like I can't predict a specific future because you have free will.
Right.
So like I
Yeah.
have done a reading where
Yep.
this girl had this emotional connection to this guy, and I knew that he did not have the same. Um, and she was saying, "Well, is there someone?" And I could see in my head, I could see a someone, and I
Right.
and I said, "So, I do see someone. I do actually see someone, but you won't be able to see him unless you release this person. Because if we have our head down." And you're so focused on this person who is not focused on you, you're not going
Right.
to see that person. You're not going to see what's coming for you.
Right.
So I did
Absolutely.
see someone, but whether or not she's going to make that connection, I don't know.
Yeah.
But so if you have those questions, I would say ask them however you want to ask them. And then if you have a good medium or psychic, they're going to know how to answer. I
Right.
think.
And well, and the important thing too is to remember a good psychic will ask what is for your highest and best good. We can only guide you to, to see the right path. We can set you on the right path, but it is for you to make that connection and for you to move forward with it. So, a lot of the time, if somebody says, this is what's going to happen to you, be concerned, because that's really not how intuitive or psychic or mediumship works. It's merely here to guide you and to give you the possibilities. So
Right.
yeah.
I agree. But I mean, like, anyone can come and ask whatever question they want, of course. And you should, because that's why you're
Yeah.
coming. But
Yeah.
I think that's up to us to kind of like navigate that and be like, okay, so I do see someone, but the
Yeah.
question is, will you,
Right. Yeah.
The other thing is to be open, receptive, as and I'm sure we all have had the person who comes to us, the sitter, who sits there with their arms folded, who asks you the question, and then first of all, my advice is when you go and you're going to sit with a medium or a healer or a channel, that you want to be open and receptive, because otherwise what you're really saying is, test me. If your arms are like this and you're saying, oh, come on, go ahead, give me your best shot, but I'm not going to make it easy. And so you bring all this great you're trying to bring all this great information and do it, and then they're going, yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
And that's where like the evidence is supposed to be. That's the whole theory behind evidence, and why it's to bring in and to prove evidentially that you're bringing it in. And that's where like I like, those who know me, I like the story, so I like to bring in the story of the person, because here comes grandpa, he smells, the smelling one, the one that if he's been sneaking out and drinking that beer, grandma's not looking, and he wants to tell you, And then using the story, and suddenly, I'm going, he wants to tell you, don't hide who you are. If people don't like you just as you are, then don't hide it. And it's like we went from evidence to bam.
Yeah.
And I love that. And then suddenly you got the tears coming in, they're going, yeah, I really do. I love my grandpa, or it's just amazing how it works, but it's like, yeah, it's be open to what you're going to be received, but don't buy it hook, line, and sinker. If it doesn't feel right, then don't go out and sell your house tomorrow because the medium told you to.
I have a great story about that, and it's one of those stories that will be with me the rest of my life. So, I mean, I'm not cheap. I'll just be honest. I have my clientele, right? So this girl comes on, I'd never met her before. And you could tell, how you can tell somebody right in front of you there. She was sitting like that, just like you were saying, Lori, right? She's sitting like this, and she's in her kitchen, and she's sitting at her kitchen table. And she was sitting at the table, and right behind her was like the sink and the refrigerator and all that kind of stuff. Well, I could tell everything I was saying, she wasn't understanding. And I was like, I don't understand why I was like, wow, this is crazy, because I feel very confident when I get what I get, So
Right.
I'm sitting there and whatever. And then all of a sudden, there was something on top of the refrigerator that came off the refrigerator and flew across the room. And it didn't fall from the refrigerator. It flew across the room because this girl was not like taking anything I was telling her. And this spirit was like, I'll get her attention.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
It was hilarious. And she was
Right.
like,
Your arms uncrossed.
no, she was just like, I don't understand why that happened. And I said, sometimes, I went through and I tried to be as patient as I could, and it was like, sometimes when they're really trying to get your attention, that's what they'll do. Sometimes it's kind of like that virtual slap on the face kind of thing. And she goes, oh, okay, I'll have to think about it. And I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Low energy.
Those are the people that will walk away and they'll really think about it and be like, oh my God, like in the moment, they don't really digest it. And then later, they're like, oh my gosh, yeah. And you hear like, oh my gosh, my friend was so excited. She really,
Oh yeah. I've had quite a few experiences where they were just like the whole time, no. And then I get emails or messages back saying, oh yeah, I just checked and my, blah, 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 like all the time. So I never, in a lot of mediums or a lot of psychics, anybody doing this work, in the beginning, you have that concern, like, oh my gosh, I did something wrong or whatever. But I've come to know that, I trust spirit. So I'm like, I'm like, okay, if you don't, if you don't agree with it, that's fine. And because I always know that either whether they tell me or not, that I'm giving them the message that they needed. So yeah, not to fight it. Yeah.
I brought in some information, and it was very, it was this angel, and it was from South America, blah, blah, blah. So the person stopped the session and said, just a minute, I want to look that up. I pulled up their phone and Googled it.
You're like, okay, I'll wait.
Yeah.
Spirit's here. Spirit's not going anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
So here's another thing that I just made some notes. And the other thing is, so like when I'm a psychic medium, I don't like that term. I don't really like calling myself, oh, I'm a psychic medium. I'm a medium. Like a medium is better to me because I am a medium. But the reason I use the term psychic medium is because that's what the masses understand.
Oh,
Do you know
yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just have stuck with that. But I know that like a channeler, an energy worker, like why did you guys choose what you call yourself? How did you get to that?
Such a great question.
Yeah. because I don't like the term, but I haven't really thought of something that would make people understand what I do. And what I do is, you know, I'm not a shaman, I don't do all these other things. So I just kind of stick with that. But what about you guys?
I think a lot of people now you tend to use the word intuitive
Yeah.
Yeah.
because it's
definitely
the
do.
same word as
Yeah.
psychic. So if you have a problem with the word psychic, which I personally do, because like within a mile radius, there's tons of like they
Yeah.
have the big signs out that say psychic. And,
Yeah.
I'm sure some of them are legitimate, but I personally have been to them where they say $20. Oh, I'm like, oh great, and
Yeah.
then they're like, oh, you have a curse.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
But
for
that's why
$850,
everybody, that's why you
What's that?
associate. Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to say that's why you associate psychic with a negative thing. Yeah.
That sucks.
Like we need a new word. I need a new word.
Intuitive.
I think
I like
Well,
mystic I really enjoy because I mean I know I'm a healer as well. I do Fan and I do the remote viewing, and I like to dig into a bunch of different things. So it's just kind of like I'm way into like the mystic sort of like your imagination is key, like anything goes. So, but there's nothing for them.
there's your title, Melanie, Mystic Medium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right there.
Oh, intuitive medium. Why
Yeah.
can't it be intuitive medium? I've never heard of that before, but
Yeah.
Well, why not?
I'd use the word intuitive. Like I'm absolutely intuitive. Like I'm hypersensitive to like everything possible. But like I personally have not found that like I've used intuitive, I've used mystic, a guide of sorts. There's because we're all guides of sorts just to help people like understand and like, move forward. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, at
Yeah,
least you're
like
not being
I
called. Oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna make of course, a few times, especially the older generations, they'll call you like a mind reader. That drives me crazy. I'm like, what?
Yeah, like,
No,
oh,
this isn't a parlor trick.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, I have been known to do that, but like
Yeah.
not primarily. But
Yeah.
anyway, what were you
Right,
gonna say, Maureen?
to call that your master status is not, yeah. But no, for me, like when people ask, especially like people who aren't practitioners, they ask me what I do, and I'll kind of like choke out like I'm a professional psychic medium, but like you, like I don't.
I know that you don't like those words. I know that we talked about that.
Yeah, because I mean, kind of like you're touching on the connotations that these words have now and have taken on over the years. For as you say, Lori, these kind of like roadside psychic mediums. I feel like the word has taken on such a different meaning and connotation. So I don't like to lump myself in with just everybody. So like I've kind of gotten into the habit of calling myself a channel for healing and information. Because like you, like I do a bunch of stuff, I do different healing work, I do different like psychic type work, and I just consider myself kind of a receptacle for all of those things, and I don't like to put myself in a corner or a box about it.
Yeah. When you come into my purple room, my practice, it's purple in the room. And but you come in and for a session, and first of all, I have a table set up, the massage table is set up. I have my drums and my, and my rattles and my feathers and my crystals and everything. And I ask people, what is your intent? What are you here for? And that's really where it starts because and the further I get into this, that Derek's right, because it's like I am such a channel at this point. It's like, just a conduit, just plug me in, because that's really what happens. It's like, so when you work with me, and this is it, it's going to be a combination. I'm really, and this is where I think the shamanic piece, etherically, it's this etheric connection. But I believe we all do it. When we take away, you're connecting to the energy of the individual, and that's where the healing needs to occur. So even we're doing so much more than just bringing in grandpa, or even the angels. It's like there's a higher purpose for it, and that is the key. and that's a piece of it, and then of course I use the channeled sounds as well to do that. But I think the longer we're in the work, Spirit works with us, and in that we develop this unique way of working, and it's fine-tuned. The longer we work with it, it's more and more fine-tuned.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And the more we step aside and just kind of like, I mean, I guess this is part of the journey of even being a practitioner, but the more we step aside and just to put our egos kind of give our egos a back seat, it just allows for whatever it is that needs to come through, whether information or healing. This is kind of how I've decided to call it, but like, we become channels for anything, when we allow ourselves to be pure channels, we can bring through anything that needs to come through people.
Right.
So yeah, trapping ourselves in any one kind of category, I think, is very limiting.
Yeah.
And there's so much we can do.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, that was all I was gonna say. Go ahead.
Yeah, I do spirit work. I connect with spirit, and whatever's meant to come through is gonna come through. If it's more mediumship, psychic, combined, healing, they know what you need more than I do. I just hear and let it flow.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that's
I agree.
my best description of it.
Yeah.
So I have to say that some people have such entertaining people on the other side, though. Right? Have you guys ever done a reading where it's like I did this one for someone, and her grandparents came in and they didn't want to leave. They were like, their personality was coming in so strong. They're bickering with each other, and and their love for this person is in front of me. And I finally like, okay, and I had to tell them to go, and so I'm like, you can leave now, we're gonna let you go, and still they're trying to come back in. I'm right, you guys have had that too, and you're like, gonna let you go.
Those are the funnest readings. I know funnest isn't a word, but those are the most fun readings. My mother was an English teacher, so every time I use the word funnest, it's kind of like, all right, what are you? And she's literally right here all the time anyway. But it's so true, because it's like those are the most fun readings whenever, like, they're the ones with the personalities, the spirits, because the ones that don't want to come through, and they're like, this person, they lost their lovingly devoted grandfather, and he just does not want to come through. That's the worst.
Yes.
I mean, but there's a reason for that. You know what I mean? Like, I've had a reading where, well, I don't want to give too much away, but a young girl she'd been going to her friend, who was a psychic, her really good friend who knows everything about her, and her grandma always comes through. And I'm giving this reading, which kind of, it went sideways in a way that I knew it was going to, but this girl was adamant, and I could feel her grandmother there, but she wasn't doing anything. I was like, this lady's not coming forward. And I think it was like, today's not your day. It's not always about you, because the reading ended up to be with who she brought with.
Yeah.
And I knew very much that's why grandma was not moving forward when I would, say, come here.
Yeah.
But not great for me, because I was sweating and I didn't really, I was like, oh my God. But I know that's why she didn't come forward. So.
And that's why I always say at the beginning of the reading, I can never promise what's going to happen.
Right.
If Uncle Joe is going to really come through and say what you want, but I can promise you that whatever happens is going to be what you're supposed to hear.
Exactly.
What you need. And it kind of takes off the pressure for them, because a lot of times, I don't know if you guys have the same experience, but a lot of times somebody will come to me and they'll be like, the anxiety is really high, especially if it's their first time ever going to a medium. The anxiety is high, and they have these expectations, and it's like, oh, let's just relax. Let's take a deep breath, kind of thing. Do you guys ever have that?
Oh
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm just gonna say that's where the sense of humor comes in. That sense of humor when we can break the ice a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, and I always go right to the thought, okay, so, is this something that I'm going through, or is this something that that is, for a specific reason, meant for this reading? Like I've had some readings where I feel trapped in a box and I can't get out. And I'm like, what is going on? And I'm starting to panic. And then I realize, okay, this is a message rather than something happening.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So you really have to, get into that space of just being open to one, feeling what they're going through, as well as, seeing the messages. And, more often than not, before a reading, I'm feeling their energy so powerfully, and like I'm like, why am I acting so crazy? Like, what's going on with me? And obviously they're nervous before they're coming on or something like that. So I just clear it. Yeah. Oh, and we do have some questions, but unless anybody wants to answer, respond to that. No. Okay.
I just want to say one thing, and that's that I was lucky in the sense my first teacher taught us how to connect with the heart, and that to do a heart connection. And I found that to be very helpful, because about really, and then from there I've learned, I now call it etherically. I connect etherically with the person's energy, but once it's like we're plugging into each other, and that really, on Zoom we're going to step into the etheric room, and our energy is going, and those sort of things, and that really helps with that heart connection. When we do that, it does allow us, Dan, and I believe that's what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
It's like that heart connection allows you to feel on a level that is just beyond just sitting on the other side of the room.
Absolutely. And I call it watching a movie with surround sound. That you get the, like 4D, and you're getting everything. You're getting the visuals, you're getting, hearing the voices and all of these things that I love, like fully enveloping into that reading, because, and I always say, like, sometimes I feel like I have to pay them because it's fun. Like it's like watching this really awesome movie, and yeah.
As long as it doesn't come with the seats that rumble underneath you, and you get to really feel it, right? That's
sometimes or like stuff starts like spitting out at you. Yeah, not good. Yeah,
I will say there is one thing that's kind of funny about that. With for myself, I had been doing readings, and all of a sudden my face would flush, and I was like in front of an open window, and I was like, oh my God, and I just kept talking, and I was like, whew. And then I had other mediums on the Zoom, and they were like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah. And I'm like, am I having a hot flash or what? And then the thought came to me. I look a lot like my mother, but my mom had high blood pressure, and her cheeks would get really red when it was particularly high. And that popped in, and I was like, oh my God, she had high blood pressure. And they're like, yeah, so now that will happen often. And I know it's because someone has high blood pressure, or because they have a blood disease like diabetes or something.
Yeah.
But now I know. But for the longest time, I would just have these flashes and go completely red and have no idea what's going on. And I'm like, oh no. So
I think that's like, it's important because like I kind of coach and teach, whatever's happening, whatever you're feeling, just say it.
Yeah.
Because like whatever's happening, both inside out, whatever it is, because it becomes the evidence. It becomes a part of the reading. Even if like, you think you have a stomach ache, say it out loud.
Yeah.
The person's like, oh my God, this person has stomach cancer. Like there's always some sort of connection that
and it also releases that feeling too. Have you ever noticed that? Right. And that's the best way to get out of that funk.
Yeah, it's just funny because like there's sometimes I forget like, because I'm like, oh my gosh, is my stomach
because it's overwhelming.
And I'm like, oh, that's not me.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yes, the question. This is from our very own Rachel Russell. How can a person kind of speed up that process of finding the gift or tuning into spirit psychically? Ooh, speed it up. I don't know that there's a specific on speeding up, but that's the thing. It's I always say like it's like Yoda. Is it Yoda who says this? It's not try, it's do. So like you don't try, yeah, to connect with spirit. You open yourself, and you and as Maurice says, you become that channel for the messages. So, not assuming, like, one important thing is never assume, that you're going to receive the message and how you're going to receive it. Just be open to, receiving it in whatever way it's going to come in. And that's how you start training yourself more and more. Obviously, meditation, right?
That's
Is
what I was
always,
gonna say.
yeah.
It's always a great start.
Yeah.
The other thing is that if you it's nice to remember that all of us, not just mediums and psychics and like whatever magical people, all of us, we're always connected to God, source, spirit. We're always connected. So it's not like you're trying to make this connection. You're already connected. You're just listening. So like when you meditate, it makes it easier for you to listen, easier for you to receive. Um, so it's not you're not trying to make a connection. We're all connected already, all of us.
Right.
So
It's
that's
just opening
might
up to
help.
it. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there are a
like the
couple of
memory
techniques, though you can use, and one is like, well, two, the writing and the drawing are really
Yeah.
big. And in that, and sometimes you can easily unblock. And you look at some mediums will do nothing but doodle. They'll doodle. And it'll come in for them and free them up. And me, when I'm drawing, it's usually a symbol that comes in or something that comes in, or I like to write beforehand. And the other piece is, when I was first starting out, I that with the clairs, I developed a way to, like, for claircognizance, for the knowing, I would tilt my head one way, for seeing, for all these things. It truly did help, because it helped me to focus. And it was just the technique to become aware and to be tuned in. And then you can, and that's an exercise you can really do. And you can do that and then write it in or draw. And those are techniques that just sort of help you to practice, because it's really about practice.
Yeah.
It really
And,
is.
oh, go ahead.
Good thing.
Oh, no, you go.
I just say
Also
this.
polite.
I know.
You go. No, you.
I said you go. No.
Listen to spirit though. I mean, I'm big on that. My guys say that a lot, and some of the stuff they brought in for me. If you're asking for something from spirit, if you're asking for communication, and something gets brought in, listen to it, trust it, trust it. Trust, because they're giving it to you for a reason. Even if it's something small and it seems silly, trust it. See what happens.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's so many times that I've asked for guidance, and something weird will come through. I'm like,
Oh,
are you sure?
yes.
Like, take a right down this road, or tell you, are you
Like
sure?
I'm not saying that.
Okay, I'll do it,
Oh,
and then I'll get those aha moments, like, oh, you
yeah.
got me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
God,
Listen.
You know
the
what?
things that come out of my mouth, I can't believe the things that come out of my mouth. I sometimes apologize because I can't believe what they want me to say. And I'm
Same.
like, I'm like, not all grandmas are really, Melanie knows this, not all grandmas say really nice words.
Yeah. Sometimes they say
And
food.
some
Yeah.
grandmas have filthy mouths.
Hey, worse than that.
Crap.
They're crap. They say all sorts of crap.
What else do they say, Lori?
We all like to make fun of Lori
Well,
because
the
she says,
older
Oh my
you
God.
get, you talk about your poop more often too. So Wow.
Man, that was awesome.
"Oh my God." Yeah.
I had to bring it up at least once.
That was awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, and oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that, and as far as the time frame, like it's that whole thing about what's coming for you is coming. Like that's so true. And it's you're not gonna be open, you're not gonna get the message, you're not gonna do all of these things until you're really ready.
Yeah.
So you can do your best, like prepare, but just know, like it can be really frustrating where you're like, oh, why don't I get this? Why aren't I getting these feelings? But it will come.
Yeah,
It will come. It's just in its
absolutely.
own time and when it's time for you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And
And
also
how?
there's no
further
rushing.
on what Derek was saying, I think that because he was saying allow, one of the things I like to teach is actually surrendering to the process as well.
Yes.
Because when you surrender to spirit, and when you just say, okay, whatever it's going to be is going to be, because each one of us, we all on here are like saying, oh, we're mediums. But guess what? We all work differently. We all have a different relationship with spirit, and we all get our messages completely in different ways. But it doesn't matter because it's all the same,
Absolutely.
All
thing.
good.
It's
Yeah.
all the
Yeah.
same final outcome, I guess you could
Yeah.
say. So just allow and surrender, or surrender
Yeah.
and allow.
So
And that's what.
I hate to do this, but oh, go
Oh.
ahead.
Oh, and I was just gonna say,
Oh,
and
I
that's
was
why.
just gonna. I was just.
Oh, go ahead.
This is what happens when you all get
I
together.
know.
You go.
Oh, poop.
And this is why we
Um,
do the show, you guys.
No, I just
You.
wanted to say, yeah, I know, right? You in the front. I just want to say, yeah, it is, and that's why I like the practice. And for anybody watching, definitely work on the practice of sitting in your power. There's a lot of meditations about it, but it's opening yourself up to spirit, going home, and that is one of the most important. Things to do and especially going on that understanding of releasing, right? So you're releasing yourself back to spirit and connecting even more. But another good thing to do is do visual exercises. Derek and I remember we would have to do like 50 build 50 flowers and explode them, right? A day, right? And yeah, it helps so much with your visuals, and you just do that. Like even sometimes I'll be watching TV with my husband and kids, and I'll just be like building and destroying things while we're doing it, and you know.
I have to tell you when you said that, just real quick. So the messages we get. So someone was talking about me. It had to do with power, and I suddenly got you should do a womb dance, right? I drew it, and I'm like, I'm really gonna tell her that, and I'm like, yes, tell her. I said they want you to do a womb dance, and she goes, well, yeah, because the womb is the place of power, so that makes perfect sense. So I'm like, okay, so there's your homework. You're going to do the womb dance around your house, and and that's the blending for me. The shamanic piece now is they show me, and you're going to dance counterclockwise to unwind the energy, and then you're going to bring it back in, winding in, and do a womb dance, really honoring your womb, and so that's what's in.
Love it. I love it.
What I was gonna say is, I hate to do this, but Annette, you're sitting there so quiet today. What do you think?
I'm listening because I'm actually just seeing just seeing where my particular gifts fit in. I've never identified myself as a psychic or a medium.
But you absolutely have
So
Or
gifts.
so
or
I'm
or a
I'm
remote viewer,
listening.
but she is. Yeah.
Yes, she is.
She is.
Well,
Yeah.
so I'm listening to hear all the things. So I'm like, oh yeah, I know that. Oh yeah, okay. Well, yeah, sometimes I do that. So I'm learning. I'm learning.
Yeah.
I know, but you are a
I
medium.
know. It's funny is that we often do like practice groups together, and Annette is a self-described non-remote viewer, but she gets it every single time. I'm like, come on.
Immediately, yeah.
Yeah, you're definitely intuitive. You're definitely connecting, and sure as heck are a really amazing remote viewer. So
Yeah. And it's like,
I
and
had to
it's
call
weird
you
to
out.
say, like,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But it's like all of those things, like, the things that each of us do, like, and the remote viewing, and like I like detective work, and like all the crazy things that we do, trance, they all overlap. So I can't really say I'm a psychic medium and I know information and I speak to people on the other side. I communicate messages. Do I do that? Yeah, but there's a ton of other things that are so exciting that I do as well.
Right.
So like you can't really just say like, oh, a psychic medium. Like there's tons of like all the stuff like there's so many things.
And Melanie, that's the way the information comes in too. You know, that the very first time, well, so we talk about physical mediumship, and I'll let someone else explain that, but it comes into me so much that in this, that I feel it's like an overlay comes on my body, and they will come in to such a degree that they sort of take over. It'll come through my voice, it'll come through my actions, and I never know. Sometimes it's a little scary, and I get the belching, burping, the guy who farts and got his beer and stuff like that, and but his wife knew it was him really quick. But when it comes in, and we don't talk about those things either. We think about the medium that sits there and does it. Mediumship and all these things come in many different packages.
Yeah.
And it's not like I'm going to say, well, right now I'm going to use my claircognizance, or I'm going to use my psychic.
Right.
It doesn't work that way. It's all in. The more we practice it, it comes in all together. And the more comfortable we get with spirit, the more we give spirit permission, man, all sorts of stuff happens.
Yes, absolutely.
I have a question for everybody here. Oh boy. This is off the cuff.
Oh man, I know. I'm waiting for
I want everybody, and if you don't want to do this, you don't have to. I want to hear your funniest spirit story.
Ooh.
Does anybody have like a funny spirit story? Or like, I mean, it could be poignant. I mean, it doesn't have to be funny, I guess. I mean, I just happen to have a lot of funny ones. But I would love to hear like a funny or a poignant spirit story. 1, 2, 3, go.
Think about that. Like,
yes.
that I've been terrified. Not terrified, like scared, but like when I'm giving a reading and like they don't know what I'm talking about, and I'm like, I know I have this person, so you're going to have to connect it. You know what I mean? But anyway, I'll have to think about it.
Yeah. Well, I have a couple.
You guys are all thinking that's so funny.
I know. Well, I have a couple that like one, because I love to ghost hunt, but then two, I have a really funny one that actually wasn't that funny, but it was funny because we were talking about something that that we didn't, that you couldn't wrap your brain around, at the time. Like you didn't really have a belief system around it, and then you saw it and you can't help yourself and you have to say it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I think my favorite, connecting with spirit story is when I went to St. Augustine for the second time and met the same, same spirit who basically was my spirit guide through like this whole tour. And he would tell me where to go, where not to go. So we were doing like this ghost hunting tour, and it was my husband and I. But a year before, we were with my 2 boys, and he remembered my 2 boys. I was talking to him the whole time. There was places he told me not to go because there were some negative energies there that didn't like women, and it was one of my favorite experiences because it was like. 1, I was hearing him, and 2, it was also speaking in the spirit box. So my husband, who's a skeptic, was like, oh my God, this is crazy. And he even showed me who he was. Yeah, absolutely. And, my biggest thing is that, you see all these ghost hunting shows and you assume that all spirits are negative, and that's actually more rare than anything. And also, when people die, they're very much like who they were in life, right? So if somebody's a little grumpy, they're going to be a little grumpy. And also, most people don't really love it when you try to make them perform, or go into their house and disturb them. So it's always about respect. So I'm always walking in with respect and asking them if it's okay, if I can come in. And if they say no, then I respect that. So it's about, treat them as if they were, living and you were walking into their home. So more often than not, I get very kind spirits, and and that's kind of why I like doing it, because I like to communicate with people that don't necessarily get to communicate with the living. So yeah, that's my.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is so amazing. Oh my gosh.
I actually thought of one, and this is like this is it's my favorite, and I wish I could get all like so as a medium, we get messages in different ways, and it's not always the same. Like I used to be really good at getting names, and now I'm okay. You know what I mean? I used to get names every single time. Now I don't. It changes. Um, so I had so I went to Arthur Findlay College in the UK, and like
Hogwarts.
yeah, which is a great college in the UK, and it's
Yeah.
all for um, spiritualists. It's psychics, mediums, healers, like all the gambit. I had just gone there, and I came back, and I was like wide open. It's like you walk in there, and it literally is Hogwarts. It's magic. Um, so I'd come home, and I had a doctor's appointment, and it's in this old building, and I always had vibes in the building, and I was like whatever, it's just an old building, and it was a bunch of different things. I got the sense that there was a lot going on in the building, but there wasn't really like a specific thing that stuck out to me. So this day I come in, and I have this is going to make sense later, but I had a Yeti. And you know when you have your coffee and you're so excited, and it's in your cup and it's blazing freaking hot. So I had it in there, and I thought, it was cold outside, so I was like, oh, I'm going to leave it here, and then when I come out, it's going to be like the perfect temperature. So I was so excited about this coffee. Go into the appointment, and usually they bring me right into the room, or usually they bring me right into the room. So they brought me in the room, and I had to wait, which I never have to wait. And I was sitting there going, this is weird. Like I just knew something was up, and I was like, what is happening? And I'm looking, and I'm waiting, and then I look down, and on the table they usually have those pamphlets. They had that book. Oh gosh, I can't remember the name, but I had it in a book that I wanted to buy on spiritual whatever. It has one word. It's like starts with an M. I can't think of it, but it's sitting there, and I was like, oh, okay. So now the book that I want to buy is sitting here. Fine, I'll buy it. So I pick up the book, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna page through it, and I started looking, and then the pages blurred. They got blurry, and I was like, what's happening?
Wow.
And then I had the sense that there was a really tall man behind me. Like I couldn't read the pages, and I was like, it was just weird, like in a movie. So I put the book down, and I was like, I'm at my doctor's appointment. I don't know what to do. Like I was
Yeah.
just newer to this, but there was a very tall man behind me. And I was like, okay, how can I help? And so he bent down, it felt like there was an actual man behind me. I have to stress that. He bent down, and he was giant. I'm going to move back. And he gave me this bear hug, and I felt it like there was a person in the room, and I was sitting like this. Like if someone was actually giving me a bear hug, like your arms would be out, and I was like, oh my God. And I was like, okay. And I wasn't really sure that that was it. And I was like, okay, you love someone. And then I got a couple of names, or partial names. It was like Mindy and Tom. Those were the names. So anyway, go through the things, and I'm asking, I said, by the way, do you have anyone that works here named Mindy or Tom? And she's like, no. Why was it on the phone? And I was like, no. I was just curious. And then, so going through that, and she's like, well, I'll keep that in mind. So I go out into the waiting room. I'm trying to make this quick, but I go out into the waiting room, and I cannot leave. I can't leave. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to make myself a coffee. So I start making a coffee, knowing that my amazing cup of coffee is outside. And I look at the girl at the desk, and I was like, she's like, oh, Melanie, we'll get your appointment, whatever, we do that. And I said, your dad didn't pass, did he recently? And she was like, oh, why? You know, and I said, you know, I wasn't comfortable saying that I was a medium yet. And I said, I just sometimes get these vibes or feelings. And she's like, yeah, he did. And I was like, okay, well, just give me a second. And I'm making this coffee. And then the song changes on the radio. And this girl goes, oh my God, this is the song that I danced to my dad to I danced with my dad at my wedding. And I was like, okay, I got this. You know, and I went in and we're going through this whole thing. And I said, you know, was your dad really tall? And she's like, yeah. And I said, so I'm just going to tell you, he bent down and gave me this, a man gave me this big bear hug. And this girl starts crying, and she's like, they had been talking about that on Facebook. Her and her sister were talking about it. So it was just like the weirdest thing. Like, and it was just like, long story short, there were like all these little things that kicked in. And by the way, the grandma who knew the dad very closely, her name was Mingo, not Mindy.
Oh, I love it.
And her brother's name was Tom. So
Oh my
I would
gosh.
never have gotten Mingo. That's what they said. But anyway, so that's like my favorite story, just because it was like there was an actual person right there, and I don't often feel that, and I wish it was like that all the time. But
Yeah.
sorry, that was a really long story, but
That was beautiful though.
but yeah, it was like first the song, then the hug, and the book, and the book blurring. I was like, what is going on? It was the weirdest thing, but
Oh,
also the most amazing.
that's so beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh.
But okay, someone else. Oh my God. I've been.
Oh, come on. Go, yay, Derek, go. Yay.
I'll pull cards when I'm doing a quick little live on Instagram or something like that. I was pulling some cards, and my daughter, my oldest daughter, came on, and I pulled a card for her, and I don't remember what the card was, but the message came through with beautiful chaos. And I saw this little boy running around her living room, just going completely crazy and just driving her crazy. And then just that feeling of absolute love. I was like, I'm gonna be another grandpa. And I knew it before she did. And I didn't tell her right there. I just told her beautiful chaos, and I told her I'll talk to you later, kid. And she texted me. She's like, I'm pregnant again, aren't I? And I
Are you like, sorry, babe?
yeah, it's gonna be a crazy boy. And her daughter, my granddaughter, she's a nutball. She's old soul. So I mean, the fact that she's bringing in the boys are going to be advanced, what rainbow, indigo, whatever. Also, but
yeah,
something about her energy. She's meant to raise these very advanced children, and she's like, oh. It's all right. It's all right. You got it. You know, they wouldn't be here if you couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's beautiful.
I love
It's
that.
a short one, but a goodie for me because
That
I
is a
was
good one.
Yeah.
I love it.
Love it.
I have a good one.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Mine are all funny though. Why is that?
Good.
You know, so I was giving this reading one time, and this girl sitting in front of me, like I was just feeling, and it was one of the first, this is a long time ago, it was one of the first times I was ever channeling, right? So I could feel this energy kind of coming down, and I was saying stuff to her like, I feel like I want to read poetry, and I feel like I'm seeing like a Native American like influence there, but I don't think that this person was Native American. I mean, I was saying all these things, and there's music, I don't, blah blah blah. I was saying all this stuff, and I'm sensing this, this, like, how, I don't know if you guys know, but if any of you channel or not, like channel the spirit, but like it just like it was heavy, right? And I was like, oh wow, what's going on? And so I said, I feel like I know this person, like really know this person. And she says, well, you probably have heard of this person. And I said, Oh, really? And my eyes are still closed. And this energy around me was just freaking amazing. Like it was awesome. Like I felt like that I could rule the world. I mean, oh, it was amazing, right? And she said, "Well, it's Jim Morrison." And I went, so that instantaneous, okay, because I was a massive Jim Morrison fan, right? So in my head, while I'm channeling, right, I start fangirling, right? So here I am, like, and he's there, and I'm just like, oh my God. Like, I think your music is awesome. You know, it's like, what the heck, you know? And all of a sudden I could hear, and I'm like struggling at that. This is only over the course of a few seconds, but I'm struggling, and all of a sudden I could literally hear him say, "Oh no, I'm out." And he's laughing. And I'm just like,
Wait.
no. Come back. God, it was so
Wow.
amazing. And I was like, whoa, that was so cool. But that would only happen. It only lasted for like a minute.
Wow.
So
Still
that's my
really
little
cool.
fun story. Channeling is fun.
I,
I did bring him back through one other time, and it was a lot better. Because, I mean, I wasn't surprised. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I remember the first time my brother came in. My brother died at 33, and he was, you know, he was a little bit rough nut is more the words. He was a nut, and so I'm working with someone, and I'm still, you know, it's the first time they're in with me, and someone is coming in. She hasn't told me a lot, and I see my brother in the corner. My brother used to chew tobacco, and damned if he doesn't show. Oh, I swore. See, there you go. He doggone it.
It is unfiltered.
And he's got his Pepsi bottle and he's spitting into the bottle. And I'm like, and there's a guy with him. And I tell this person, oh, you know, and at that point, my brother didn't come in much. Oh, my brother just showed up. And I says, I'm so sorry. I says, but he's with this man who's right around his age, 34-ish. And I says, and they're both like chewing tobacco and spitting it, except this other guy's got it in a can. And this person says to me, she says, that's my brother. And
So cool.
he had died of an overdose, and they're in the corner, they're like chatting. This is where it got really neat, though. First of all, I had to go over the fact that my brother came in as a guide, you know, to guide someone in, and they're talking about AA and NA, and this is the neat part. And my brother says, well, I'm upstairs, you know, and I'm doing AA, you know, up above, you know, at the rooms in the clouds, he called them. And it was just like, and so he was there to help. And I get so, you know, this, it's so emotional for me. That was his job. He was there to help, you know, people to continue their journeys in the clouds. And that was his way of making amends, that he felt he had some things he needed to make amends for in this lifetime. And so that's the work he was doing. And that was a while ago. And since then he's come back to tell me it's shifted for him. But it, you know, it was just like so touching for the other person too. It was like, in all this information came in, but it came in through my brother. And he's the one that brought it in to me to give to her, to explain some things about, you know, the crossing. And it was, but absolutely, you know, incredible.
Wow.
Oh, that is what I love most about that is that he's doing AA in the clouds. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So cool. Oh man, I
I
love that.
love it.
Awesome story.
Yeah.
Anybody else want to tell a story? You don't have to. Just thought it would be fun.
Yeah.
Anyone really, Maurice? Nothing.
Annette?
You're
I knew
thinking.
someone was going to say my name. So,
Yeah, I'm going to.
I can think of one.
Call
It's
you out.
not funny, but maybe you'll laugh. I don't know. I was doing a mediumship mentorship, and the mentee, she brought in my great grandfather. And some years prior, I had discovered that he was psychic, that he would read palms and he'd read people's dreams for my grandmother. And that was a pivotal moment for me when my grandmother told me this, because that was the moment I was like, oh well, I'm not weird then. Like I'm not strange, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't, without that, I don't think I would be here right now. I don't think I'd be kind of doing this right now. And this was back in like 2017 or something. And anyway, so the flash forward to like 2021 or 2022 with this mentee, and she brings my great grandfather, and he tells me that I was carefully chosen to carry on this work, that no one prior to me was able to kind of hold it and take it seriously and follow through from the heart, and that it was always me, that it was always going to be me.
I just got goosebumps.
I know. I love that.
Like, oh, I love that.
You know, it felt like such an honor because you know it's easy, especially like when you're sensitive to energies, to be like, well, I mean, I don't know anyone else's experience, but my experience was that none of my parents practiced or talked about it or anything like that. I mean, looking back now, they're all powerful psychics, but they all did their own things to kind of drown it out. And it just, I felt like it was like I was being handed a torch from way back when, from a person that I'd never actually met before. And he went on to say that he didn't get the chance to kind of follow through in the way that he wanted to and continue to practice. Because I mean, he was in Jamaica. I'm a first generation American, so everyone before me is from Jamaica, and he was a farmer, and like he had to like pay his bills. He had to like do things to like live and strive, and especially his wife, my great grandmother, kind of steered him away from it, and he kind of told this whole story about why he couldn't follow through, and how through me he gets to follow through. You know, so that was like another thing that really pushed me forward. It was really special because it was through a mentee. You know, I didn't expect that. I was like, oh my God, man.
Yeah.
I expected maybe
That
for them to bring their own
so
person
cool.
through, or my grandmother or somebody. But yeah, that was a really special moment for me.
Wow.
Wow. That's amazing.
Okay,
Really is.
okay, so he just inspired a story that I have.
Yay!
I've been hearing that.
So, thank you, Maurice. So, in 2009, my significant other passed away from pancreatic cancer. And so the whole thing of how we met and the connection we had was just phenomenal. Like, it was like phenomenal. And so I was really trying to understand, like, I felt like we had this like big thing that we were going to do together in this lifetime, and because the connection was just so perfect in so many ways. And so when he passed away, I was really struggling with, okay, but what about what we were supposed to do together? Like, how do we do it now?
Yeah.
And long story short, he helped me to understand that what we were meant to do together was to prove that death is not dying, and that there is communication on the other side, or however you want to call it, and that in order for us to do that together, one of us had to leave and one of us had to stay here. And so he was the one that had to leave. So I'm actually writing a book called Life Transcends and Love Never Ends.
Oh my
I love
God.
that.
That is amazing.
So amazing in that.
Wow.
Gorgeous.
Well, and you don't think you're a medium.
I know. You know, she doesn't talk much, but then, you know, she hits us with something profound, right?
I know.
I don't say anything, and all of a sudden it's like,
I know.
problem.
Drop the mic, Annette.
Well,
Yes.
he just gave it to me when Maurice was talking. He's like, yeah, tell that story. I was like, oh, okay.
Awesome.
Love that.
That is so cool.
I love that.
Beautiful. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Anything, Derek? What do you have?
Oh, no, he did. His baby.
Oh, he
His
did.
I got more
granddaughter.
stories, but
I know.
I know. We all have a lot of stories.
I know, I
don't
was just gonna say, yeah, you want me to keep going?
I know.
Terry, I have a question for you. When you're out in the woods where you work, when you're out in that gorgeousness of where you work, are you constantly receiving information? I mean, from the nature beings, because we don't talk much about that, but nature does talk to us, the animal spirits and the tree spirits. Do you receive information when you're out there?
Lately, I've been channeling like some actual like earth healings. Like I'll go quiet, and actually I got out of reading. They told me to like channel for myself, because I do a lot of like the cards for, you know, TikTok and that. But they actually channel for myself and see what kind of comes through. And I've actually been channeling healing processes for the earth, and I'll get out there.
Oh no, we
Start
froze.
doing these movements and doing these energy work for the earth, and just bringing the energy up from the earth, up from the air, and all the elements, and all elements are moving through and communicating through you. And it's hard to explain when you're out there and you're feeling that energy move through you, and you feel that connectiveness of earth, air, water, you know, fire from the sun, and you're just having it all flow through you in a way that, like, when I'm done with it, I'm like, I don't know what just happened, but it was amazing, because you kind of just, again, you give yourself to the process.
I love that. Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's like there's no words when you're like trying to explain it, because it's so there's just a cohesiveness when you're out there, and everything is so perfect. You go up, you like hug a tree, and you just feel the energy, you feel the emotion of the plants, the animals. You feel the energy. Like I did this little video like a while back, and I communicated with the wind, and it said everything has a life and energy in it, and it's something I already knew, but brought my attention down to this little sagebush. It was like a little, 1 foot sagebush. And I put my hands around it, and just felt the energy vibrating off it, and it damn near moved me to tears, because it's like, we hear these things, we hear all these practices, but when you're actually feeling it, and something so grand as air or fire or water and Mother Earth, when they actually communicate to you and show you these things, grateful doesn't begin to explain. So yeah, Lori, I do. I mean, I got to remind myself to pay attention more sometimes, because I'm out there all the time, so I can kind of tend to take it for granted sometimes. But when I actually do go quiet, it's there, and it almost like it's overwhelming sometimes how beautiful it is, and just how profound. And if I could say one thing to anybody, I mean, get out there and just feel it, because it is just, it affects you in more ways you could ever possibly imagine. It's just, it changes you when you feel that kind of stuff, whether you want to or not. I mean, once you feel those kind of things, you can't go back. You can't fall back asleep.
That's actually like, I totally get that, because I find the most peace when I'm outdoors, especially when I'm at the ocean, because I'm always like, I think about how vast the world is and how tiny I am. And that actually is great for that last question that Rachel had, out in nature. That's another way to really connect and, um, you know, find where you fit, and be able to really calm down and listen, is out into nature. So I think we naturally do that as humans as well.
And to understand that is a piece of it. We often put things in boxes, right? This is mediumship, this is psychic, this is whatever. And it's not like that at all. And the more connected we, and at least for myself, and it is that spirit is everywhere. And so when I can go out into the natural world and really connect it there, you know, and understand every aspect, and the more connected I am, the more capable I become of channeling and bringing in this information, and it comes in a very vibrant and healing way. And that, I think, is the piece that, if I could say anything, is, you know, for me, I call it my faith. But, you know, my faith in spirit and in myself, it's like how it's all a piece of the same. And to really enhance the abilities is to believe in yourself, believe in spirit, and to understand that you're always connected and that it's there for you at all times.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Beautiful message.
So true.
Yeah.
Beautiful message.
So do you guys, this is kind of a lead into our next week's show, but as a psychic and as a medium, do you all prefer to use, like, we have cards, we have crystals. Do you guys prefer to use something with your mediumship and your psychic work or whatever, like, or do you just like naturally be like, I need to pull a card, or, you know, how does that work for all of you?
Well,
For me in
oh,
particular, I don't really use cards. I find myself naturally using stones. It's funny, I don't talk about it much, but it's just kind of an inherent part of my life. Like I always have some sort of stone on, like, in my pocket or around my neck. I was a rock collection kid, so I think I've been doing that since I was a young kid, and now it just seems natural. And though, like, I know I'm kind of knowledgeable about some of the stones and things and their supposed, like, effects and things, but I grab what feels right and I place them where it feels right,
I love that.
and it works, you know. So I kind of just work intuitively. Yeah, I don't use a lot of like divination tools or anything, though. I'm like, I can't get pendulums to work. I'm one of those, like, so I just kind of like tune in and let it happen. But if there's one thing that I do find myself using, like even on this desk right here, there's like stones everywhere. So
My God.
that's just
I
me.
just had to
right?
put my back on
I
the
know.
thing because I had like
Yeah.
a pile. I'm like, what am I doing?
Me too.
We all have our own.
They're surrounding. Yeah.
Because FYI, that's a little lead into next week. We're going to be talking about those tools. So that's why I'm just curious about, you know, anybody else. Like, what do you? I will frequently pull for myself. I don't usually use tools, but I use oracle cards, and it's something I started when I first started out doing readings. I would pull a card for the person coming to see, like, what is going on around them, and then I would pull a card for myself to see what I need to do to work this communication. So I would do that, and then I would just take notes. But otherwise, I really don't.
Yeah. Well, for me, I've really don't utilize cards and things like that. Not that I, don't like them. I always found tarot cards to be like a lot to read. You know what I mean? And so, the way that I was taught, to even read tarot is, or tarot, is intuitively. So I don't necessarily know what they mean. I'd rather see them intuitively. But like,
Right.
yeah. But as far as other things, I have way too much fun in my own head. So I don't think I need more things. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love that because I
Yeah.
think even with I was just thinking as you were saying that, like, you'd be so good doing card readings because you would just, because the really thing is, like, the cards do have their meanings, but intuitively, I think you'd be really good at picking up things like that. I also do, like, I do tarot, whatever, readings, and I enjoy it, but, like, I go kind of off my intuition more. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah. You know what I tried recently is reading somebody by building a tarot card or tarot card, whatever.
Yeah.
And watching the card. I'm very visual, so it's like I watch the card start, kind of building its own. Information. It doesn't have to look like a tarot card. It just starts to give you information. And
I love that.
it's so much fun. We'll definitely practice that.
Really cool.
Yes, it's
Let's
so
do
much
that
fun.
one.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
For me, I own like 20 pendulums because I want to use them, and Spirit does not want me to use them. None of them work. Like I can't get them to do anything.
Yes.
But I love
I think I
the
have
idea
three.
of it, right?
Yeah. I have several back there.
Yeah, I even have dowsing rods too. Yeah.
Yeah, so do I. So do I.
Yeah. I don't trust them, but I have them.
You don't trust them?
No, I don't trust me with them. Like I'm like, yeah.
That'll
What if I'm
like
shaking?
our conversation about that. But my greatest tool, I think, is my words.
Yeah.
And the way words come in, I will try to tune into someone before they even come in, and I will just write, and that's such a guiding force when that happens, and through those words more messages come, and that's what I've learned. I think my two greatest tools are my words that I write and the sound that I channel, and but I always have my rocks. They're everywhere, and so that's important.
Yeah, and I don't think any of them, any practice is better. It's just what's right for you, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I just never, for me, especially, growing up with ADHD, trying to figure out a card, come on. For me, it'd be like, I couldn't do it. Yeah.
How about when you're doing the thing and they all go boom all over the place, right? And it's like,
Always. I can't shuffle. How am I going to be
Oh, I
a
can't shuffle either. I
successful
was about
tarot
to say
card?
that. Yeah, I also can't shuffle. So
No, and their cards are big. They're huge.
Huge.
Yeah,
Why
you're
are they
like,
so huge?
how do you do
and
that?
then
Yeah.
the way I was taught, and we can talk about this next week, is clearing. For clearing, right? We can talk about that. Your tools, you got to clear your tools. Well, in the on the shamanic way, you actually do this thing where you snort with your nose to clear, right? Well, that's not savvy when you're in front of a new client and you got around your nose,
Oh my God.
So instead, I'll do more about.
And whatever you need to do.
Burp, whatever.
Annette, how about you? Do you?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know a ton about what you do, so I'll be excited to hear that. But do you use any tools?
Yeah, sometimes I use cards, but I really don't use. I use them with myself mostly. I don't use them with other people. But if I'm just trying to, work around something for myself, I may use some cards, and I do have a pendulum that works.
Mine's broken.
That. Hers
I
works.
think all 20 of mine are broken too.
Yeah.
All of them.
Or I'm just broken.
Can I just share with you guys? This is how I do this. Because I'm kind of OCD, right? So I'm thinking I don't want to influence the pendulum, right? So I hold everything really still. Show me that. It still doesn't matter.
Well, no, but that makes so much sense because I always think, oh my gosh, if I shake, because sometimes if I'm like hungry, I don't want to, right?
You don't want to influence it.
Yes.
You're supposed to just do it.
Yes. Well, what about putting it on something? Has anybody ever put it on something and then just ask questions? Is that a good thing to do? Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna try.
You're still holding it.
I'm gonna try, and I'm gonna report back.
Yeah.
So for next week, let's all bring our pendulums and let's
Yeah.
know why they do or
Yeah.
don't work.
I'm
Because for
serious.
some
I'm
reason we have
yeah.
like 500 of them, because I know I have like
I
4 or
know.
5.
I want them to work.
Oh, yours broken too, Theon. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, all 5 of them. Yeah.
But here's my thing with those is that a lot of people, and this is my opinion only.
Yeah.
Like I don't use a pendulum a lot. I've been told that I would be really good with it, but my thing is like people use a pendulum and the belief is that the spirit world is moving it,
Right.
and my belief is that it's your higher self.
It's your higher self.
So you really need to have the
Mhm.
connection because it's really
Yes.
your higher self and
Yeah.
your vibration and your energy that's making it move in the way that you already, like you already know the answers.
Yeah.
Is kind of
And
the
if
way
you,
that I-
yeah, and if you think about it, just think about like, just the same as you have to have connection with spirit, you have to have
Right.
connection with your tools. So
Yeah.
if you get yourself you're out of your own head,
Yeah.
which of course is hard for me, and I haven't really tried, but it is probably about that, right? Is about just
Yeah.
being
That's
one
what
with
I'm
that
saying.
tool. Yeah.
Yeah, like if you that maybe that would help you like just be like it is me and I need my own energy and I already
Right.
know your higher self already knows the answer. So then when you hold it, you're not so focused on like I have to hold it so spirit.
Am I tilting it too much?
Your
Yeah.
spirit moving.
Yeah.
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 My
So that's
one friend, this is my other one. I like this one. Right? I mean, it doesn't work. But my one friend would hold her thing and it would be going like this. I'd be like, you're moving that.
Yeah.
Nobody's pendulum goes
It
like
goes like
that.
Oh my God. Yeah. So
Yeah,
this is my mesa, and this is on my prayer bundle, right? When I hold this over my pendulum over my mesa, the holy moly, it's like first of all it'll go counterclockwise, and then it'll stop, and then it'll go clockwise, so it's spinning it out and then spinning it in, and then it'll start to go like this. And it'll backwards and forwards. And so so we, next week when we talk about how we use them, but it's incredible. I mean, in that way, but
Yeah.
Let's all
Otherwise-
bring our pendulums next week.
yeah.
Right. We all probably have them sitting right in front of us or
Yeah.
like within arm's reach.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna do what Theon said. I'm gonna get something. I'm gonna
Yeah,
come
just
with a whole
put it up.
contraption.
Yeah. Like, just watch it.
I'm gonna come with a whole contraption next week, and I'm gonna be like,
Yeah.
show me yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and
Yeah.
and as a healer, I will at some point love not pendulums are used for to check your what's that where you do the whole thing with the what's that called where you do the pendulum and you check the someone out there in the universe knows what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Oh, the muscle testing.
Yeah, there you go.
Muscle testing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So see, we
I'm
can.
fascinated by muscle testing. That's a whole other thing that I would love
I
to
know.
do.
Yeah. Isn't it like-
That's
Do a whole show on
my
that.
time.
Yeah.
This is so much fun. So next week, what are we talking about? We are talking about the tools.
Yeah. So that's why I thought I would just kind of dip in there because, we all use different tools and that's what we'll be talking about next week.
Yes. I'm
Yeah,
sad. I'm
yeah,
gonna.
I wait for the hammer. The hammer is the one I use in the really hard clients. No, just kidding.
Whoa!
Especially when they don't agree. No, I'm just kidding.
Everyone's like,
Oh my God, Lori, I thought you were like serious for a second. I'm like, whoa.
How do you use the
Here's the
hammer?
hammer.
Like, I'm like, this is interesting.
what do we need to do for this? What?
I know. Hammer. I think I've heard of that.
That's
Yeah.
a whole other episode, Lori and her spiritual hammer.
If I had a hammer.
Yeah,
That's a whole
exactly. Wow.
That's awesome.
So yeah, do you want me to tell you what's coming up next on Evolving in general? Yeah.
Yeah,
I have been.
And
Yeah.
Ian's gonna tell us what's
There's a whole list.
Yeah,
what's
a pretty
coming
big
up on
list here.
Evolving.
Yes, well, of course, we have next week on Evolving View. We're going to be talking about tools and possibly hammer every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern. We also have Lori Sheffer and Sam's LGBTQ. LGBT IAQ plus. We Are Family group. It's a weekly group, and that is every Thursday at 8 p.m. And this group is a loving, intergenerational, I love that word, inclusive and spiritual space for the LGBTQIA plus community. So yeah, definitely join Lori and Sam every Thursday at 8 p.m. We also, coming up this month, we have May Mental Health Month. And so we're doing a sort of a mental wellness sort of workshop series. And that's going to start on oh my gosh, Tuesday, May 16th. And they all start at 7 p.m. Then the next one is on the 23rd and then the 30th. So definitely check it out. It's going to be, we're going to start posting for it soon. So definitely come, and it's free. We have a lot of amazing practitioners on that. So definitely look for that. We also have Jakara will be live on TikTok on the 9th at 6:30 on the Evolve Me channel. And she's going to be talking about, she's going to provide an auric field check for the audience. So definitely something to experience. So definitely check it out. Also, I have a couple of mine, and I'm just not saying them.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know. Okay. So the Understanding Akashic Records, it's a 4-week course, and that starts on May, and that's from me, and at 7 p.m. We also have Manifestation Madness with Lori Albert, and that's on May 31st at 8 p.m. And it's an eye-opening workshop, roundtable, to learn methods and strategies to manifest your best life. Ooh, I love it. I'm gonna join that one. And let's see. And then last but very not least, we have Annette. She's coming up on June 3rd, and she has her Sophia Circle. Yep, Sophia Code Circle, excuse me. And it's and it's live. It's a live journey through the Sophia Code. And this is going to be a 13-week course, so definitely check it out. It's going to be amazing. That's going to be a lot of information. So, look for that on the Evolve Me site, and we'll be promoting that soon too. So,
then isn't there somebody doing something on like the Akashic Records?
Okay. Yes, and I'm going to be doing also astral projecting on May 4th. Yes, May 4th, and that's another 4-week course. Maybe next time, Rachel, just send them to me. So they go.
Fan, I want you to know that I've been doing a deep dive on astral projection for probably a year.
Really? I you know what? It's something that I absolutely love. I do it constantly. I probably prefer living outside of my body than inside.
Yeah.
I
love.
Right?
Yes.
I do it. I always do
that.
it in meditation.
I was thinking that, because then I want to talk about those dreams I always had as a child, where I was flying with my arms and I couldn't bring myself down, and I would fly away. Right?
Oh no.
Yeah. So, but and I think coming back to my body. But anyway, so it all fits. But for tonight, I think this is it, guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's been great. Definitely.
Yeah.
And come and watch us again next Monday. And you've heard all of Evolve Me, our little workshops and classes, and definitely jump over there and check them out as well. And Maurice moved.
He's bouncing around.
He just moves around.
And
There's like
Dan,
4 of them over there.
Dan, are you doing TikTok with me on Wednesday
Oh,
night?
yes, and our TikTok on Wednesday night. Could we do it a little early? Because I have to. Could we do it at 7?
Yes. We
So
can.
yes, and Lori and Than's Wednesday TikTok readings and very funny banter. Please definitely join us on TikTok at 7 p.m.
And featuring Lori saying poop.
Yes, that's actually why I do it with her, because I love a good poop joke.
I am poop though. No.
Oh my God. I love it because I'm usually the one getting in trouble for swearing, and Lori thinks she's so
Oh
much trouble
no.
for saying.
As soon as I turn this off, it's like a truck driver. So,
Anyway,
sorry, truck
well,
drivers.
this has been really
So
fun.
much fun. You guys, this is so much fun. I'm so glad we're doing this.
I know,
Yeah,
me too.
great.
I hope the viewers are getting as much
I know.
enjoyment out.
They're like, okay, enough, guys. No.
All right. Love you guys.
Love you.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us
Bye.
tonight, everybody.
Bye. Good night.
Bye, everybody.